What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Function. I hope you guys are having a great week and are having a great weekend already. We are kicking off our new series in The Function where we're going to be talking about things that can help us become better men, because the purpose of The Function is to become strong pillars in our society so we can reach our potential. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like and share this content. So, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about facing our fears. Facing our fears. Fear is it can be tough to overcome. It can be tough to take action sometimes because we feel inadequate. We feel like we don't deserve it. We feel unworthy. We feel like it's a waste of time, that we're going to fail, that people just won't listen to us. You know what I'm talking about. That you have those feelings and you're like, well, why should I even try? Why should I even pursue this? I'm going to fail anyways, right? So I want to talk about ways we can overcome our fears by facing our fears. That's going to be what we're talking about, facing our fears head on. Now, I don't know about you, but confrontation can be uncomfortable. You know, I'm sure all of us have had situations where somebody hurt us, and then we know we have to have a conversation to either reconcile or to just share where things went wrong, right? And that can be uncomfortable because we're afraid of how they're going to respond, how they're going to receive the information, and we're afraid it just might not work out, right? But we have to get used to confronting the fears inside of us. Fear is normal. Like, it's normal to be afraid. It's not a weird thing to have fear, right? The problem is when we become paralyzed by it and we allow it to stop us from taking action, immediate action. Because the way we face our fears is we have to learn to take immediate action. Let me give you an example of this. So I remember when I was door knocking, and I was selling roofs at the time. And I noticed when I would sell in a particular area, I got very comfortable selling there. But at the same time, I was still nervous. I was still scared to do this. I was more scared at the beginning because I didn't know the sales pitch. I wasn't comfortable saying it. So I had to get out the car and start pitching about roofs and setting up roofs inspections. And the challenge was like, man, are people going to listen to me? Am I going to get a yes? You know? And I remember it was a Tuesday, and I think I had like 3 or 4 inspections scheduled, like in the first 6 doors I knocked on. And it was like, wow, I can do this. I felt the adrenaline pumping. I was feeling good. I was like, man, I can actually do this. And I remember when I got settled there, because it's a different strategy in the roofing industry. You have to stay at one location and not like jump to different areas. So I learned that early on by my manager. But even then, I would always be nervous. I wasn't ever like super comfortable, but I was nervous. Now, I remember when I went to a brand new neighborhood just to see what it was like. I was extremely nervous because I had never worked in that area. I wasn't as comfortable or settled because I had sold a roof to 2 people and they were across the street from each other. It was really cool. And I was getting comfortable in that area. I remember going down the street a little bit and knocking on those doors. And I also learned that in that industry, you had to follow up. Even when they said no or maybe, I had to constantly follow up with people because it was different than just selling AT&T products. So I remember a time where there was a lady, and she said no. But I came back a couple weeks later, and trust me, it was nerve-wracking because I'm like, well, she's already seen my face. I don't know what she's going to say here. You know, I'm thinking in my head, like, she's probably just going to say absolutely not. She accepted to schedule a roofing inspection, and I ended up selling her. So what I've learned is with fear, it's always going to be there. It's never going to go away. You're human. So accept the fact that you deal with fear. So what do we have to do to face our fears? Well, we have to take immediate action. So if you're the type of person that battles with procrastination, you battle with indecisiveness, you literally have to make decisions on the things you want in life, right? You can't just sit back and go, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know if it's going to work out. You have to take action. That's it. If you want to get to know, let's say you want to get to know a girl, you got to go just talk to her, right? You can't just sit back and go, is she going to like what I say? Does she find me attractive? Am I going to get past the first base, go on a date? You can't think about that. You just have to take action and just see where it goes, right? So the ones who take more actions are the ones who are going to get more results. Will they still battle fear? Absolutely. I still deal with fear today. I'm not perfect, right? So you just want to face your fears head on. Now, when it comes to fear, I remember there was another time I sold Medicare products. So this is actually the first time I've ever sold Medicare. We had training for 5 weeks. So the first time I got on the phone was during AEP season. It was like actually a few days before it, but I knew like there was no, they call it SAPs available, or I didn't know enough information about it yet. So I knew then, come Friday, I got to start selling these things. So can you imagine like the nerves I was feeling? Like, am I going to sell this product? Can I really submit an application? Am I going to share all the benefits correctly? Am I going to be compliant with quality assurance people? Like, I'm just thinking so much in my head. So Friday comes, I had a lady who was ready to sign up because I shared the benefits. I just had to schedule a follow-up because, again, you can only get enrolled between October 15th and December 7th. So I knew that day she was a potential sale. So remember, I called her, and I'm nervous, man. I'm like freaking out. And I pitched her a plan, and I had to pivot because her doctor wasn't there. And my manager pulled me aside and said, just calm down. You're doing fine. She's still on the phone. Just close her. So I got back on. It was a little messy because it was the first time I'm going through the systems, and I had to do a disclaimer, and there's just so much information that I'm doing on the spot, right? I mean, you can see it in training, but once you're live, it's totally different. So I ended up selling her. I did well for that first time in AEP. I got promoted 3 months later. But the thing is, if I had run away and just shut down, that first one would have taken a little bit longer. I would have gotten a sale, of course, but it would have taken longer. So what I'm saying is you got to confront your fears. You got to confront every single one of them. Now, how do we confront our fears? Like, I'm going to give you 3 things to do to confront your fears. That way you're not overwhelmed and you're not like, man, I can't do this. First thing is, don't judge yourself too harshly. Don't be so critical on yourself. I am switching my strategy of podcasting from Anchor to YouTube. I'm finally committing to this process. I got a lot to learn. I got a lot to learn about thumbnails, about, recording, audio, editing, all this stuff. How to get views, right? All this stuff I've got to learn. And if I fail, I can't judge myself too harshly. If I put the wrong word or say the wrong thing or, whatever, I don't communicate properly, I have to be okay with that. And I can't judge myself too harshly. You know what I mean? So if you're the type of person who's like, man, I didn't record 4 videos, I only did 1 this week, and put it on YouTube. You did 1, right? Oh, I got a B+. Why didn't I get an A? You're off by 1 point. You're still smart, right? Oh, well, this endeavor I'm pursuing to start my business partner isn't going to be as committed. I should have never started. They're still involved. They're still helping you out. You just have to change your perspective and not just judge yourself. Just give yourself some grace. Like, give yourself some time to learn. We all go through a learning curve. All of us do. Think about how long it might have taken to learn how to do algebra, for example. Maybe you weren't the strongest in math, but you still took the time to learn algebra, right? So just give yourself enough time to learn, to process things, to just breathe. And that's the next thing we'll talk about. Just breathe. Calm down. Don't overwhelm yourself. If you feel stressed, go to a quiet place. Go there, sit down, spend time by yourself, 30 minutes to an hour a day. Turn off your phones, laptops, any distractions, TV. Just turn it all off and just think for yourself. Get some time for yourself. Like, face it, because when you face that anxiety or fear you're dealing with, you feel better, right? Because you're thinking more clearly, you're breathing, you're meditating. So I would encourage you guys to go find a quiet place, wherever that is, whatever environment that's in. Pick a time and stick to it. Mine's is the morning time. I like to spend 30 minutes to an hour I like to do prayer, meditation, affirmations, and my devotions. And I like to drink a lot of water, my Organifi, and eat breakfast. And I try to do that without my phone on. I don't have my phone even in my room at night. I don't have a TV in there. I like to be sleeping peacefully. Am I always successful at this? No, I'm not. But I can tell you this, when I do this correctly, I feel sharper. I feel like I have clarity. So just whatever that looks like for you for a quiet place, just go to that quiet place. Third thing is just tolerate your risk. You know, maybe there's, for example, I got some debt I'm still paying off. There's only so many resources I'm going to use right now with YouTube. I'm not going to overextend myself because I have to prioritize paying off the rest of my car payments, paying off my wife's, and the student loans we got to take care of. Would I love to get a fancy new camera? Absolutely. And I could just not set up for my laptop? Absolutely. But I'm not there yet. So I have to understand just how much risk I can take. Because here's the thing. When we don't figure out what we can tolerate, then we just get stuck. And we don't ever just move forward. We just say, oh, well, I can't take that risk because, you know, of this situation or this situation. Okay. Let's see what you can do. Let's see what you can tolerate. That way you don't overextend yourself. That way you don't put yourself in a bad position. But just remember that, like, just understand what you can tolerate, understand what resources you have available, and just go there. Just go from there. I know it's not always easy because, you know, we want to take massive risks. And maybe you're in a position where, for example, you're not married right now, and you still live with your parents and you have a job and you can go invest in some real estate, right? Maybe you can, you know, you don't have any debt. You can just take some risk. Go do it, right? You have a different risk tolerance, you know? I remember when I started a drop shipping business, it didn't work out, but I was able to take a risk. And I got some resources out of that, some connections. But I was able to take that risk because I wasn't married yet. I was single. I was like, let's try something. Let's see how this works out. Right? So I want to encourage you, if you feel like, you know, it's too much to do, the project is too overwhelming, bring it down. Pull out those resources that you can't use right now and use the resources you have available. So just figure out what you can do now and just go from there. You don't have to spend like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a new laptop. Maybe you just need to use the laptop you have now. Like, I would love to have a new MacBook, but I don't have the resource right now. You know, I'm using a Asus computer. I'm sorry, it's a Asus ZenBook computer to record all this, right? I found a software. I have the mic. And we're just going to go from there. We're going to keep building, planting, one step at a time. So just, if you're dealing with fear, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're like, man, I don't know if I can really get started, just face your fears. Confront everything head on. Take immediate action. And again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, find a quiet place to just get some time for you. And just go at it. Don't worry about your fears. Fear is always going to be there. I wish it would go away. I would love to just say one day, man, fear, just go away. You're deleted. You know, like go to a courtroom and have a divorce with fear. I would love to do that, you know, but that doesn't exist, right? It's not realistic. So be okay with the fact you're dealing with fear. It's okay. Acknowledge it, right? And just move forward. Take actions. And I guarantee when you're taking immediate actions, you're going to feel a lot better about your progress and what you're trying to accomplish in life. So that's it for part 1 of Facing Your Fears. If you enjoyed this episode and if it really helped you, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and share this content with others. And I will catch you on the next one.